Okay, I want to pick up this third module by going back just a little bit. We covered quite a bit. We did a present value and a future value calculation. Then we got into annuities. I want to re-emphasize what we're talking about with annuities. We're going to practice that again to make sure that we have that part down. Okay, so first off, an annuity is the amount of money received or paid during each compounding period. And that is a very important calculation. I want you to think from now on, you think annuity, think of the lottery. Just an easy way to get that reference for you all the time. Okay, and a regular annuity is money received paid at the end of each compounding period. This would be somebody that's using an annuity for a retirement fund or something along those lines. An annuity due is different because it's paid at the beginning of each compounding period. As we've said several times now, what that means is that that one is more valuable to us because it is paid at the beginning of the compounding period. So we're going to explain that again. So in the regular annuity calculations, right, which are paid at the end of the year, in this one, right, if we are paying $600 a year for 5 years at 12% interest, at the end of 5 years, it would be worth $3,811.71. If we are receiving that $600 payment, if for some reason we need that each year as a payment to us, and we are going to do it for 5 years and get it at 12% interest, we would have to pay $2162.87 for the right to receive that. So that's what an annuity does for us. So now we're going to look at this annuity due calculation and see why. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times. You see there the future value is showing as $4269.11. If you look at the future value on a regular annuity, you're seeing it's $3811.71. Okay, so now we're going to see why the difference. All right, so now in order to do that, we need to convert our calculator to be able to compute the annuity due calculation. So on the left side of your screen, you see the steps to do that. So if you have your app opened, you hit second payment, second enter, and the second payment is PMT as it says there, and second enter, and now it says BGN on your screen, and then say second compute. Now if you look at your 5 zeros in your display screen, you will see above it, it has the BGN initials. So that means you are in the calculator app's ability to do annuity due calculations. So once you've converted that, you're going to do the annuity calculation exactly the same way as you did the regular annuity. So we're going to, in this case, the first one we're going to do is compute future value. So in order to do the future value, that means the payment is going to be negative. We're going to make a payment, and we want every year for 5 years of $600. What's our value? What's our return going to be at the end of 5 years? All right, so in order to do that, again, hit second clear, second FV, just like we do every time. Hit 600, negative, PMT. Then we're going to hit 5N, 12IY, and compute future value. And that's going to give us the 4,269.11. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and compute the present value on that. Okay, so what is our present value going to be? So we're going to do the second thing, same thing, second clear, second future value. Type in 600 PMT, but we are not going to convert that to negative because we are receiving that money. Then we'll do 5N, 12IY, and compute PV, and that gives us negative 2422.41. And again, all present value answers come in as a negative number. So the annuity due calculation, again, as you see, in both scenarios, it's about $400 more in the future value and about $300 more in the present value in those calculations. Okay, so now we're done with annuity due. So hit the clear button on the bottom left of your app, then hit just the same thing you did to get it to say BGN. Hit second payment, second enter, second compute. And now we're back to, on our display screen, just the 5 zeros with no BGN in front of that. All right, so now there's a special type of an annuity called an annuity in perpetuity. We're not going to do any calculations with this, but it's important that we understand what this is. One of the best examples that I find that students are easily able to understand is this idea of Social Security. So if you get Social Security, how long are you going to get that for? Well, you turn 65, you get your first check, and something happens to you, and you're in an accident and killed, you only get one payment. If you live to be 105, you can get 40 years of payments. So that means it's a special type of annuity that pays or receives cash with no time limit. Okay, so Social Security is not exactly that, but it's a good way for students to get that reference in their mind. So annuity in perpetuity, right? Think of Social Security. Again, we're not going to do any calculations with this. Just want you to know that one line there. Special type of annuity that pays or receives cash with no time limit. All right, so now we've looked at all calculations for future value, present value, and for annuities. Now we're going to do something called uneven stream of cash flow. This is going to link more closely to what we do if we are going to buy a business, right? Payments are not the same in all compounding periods. If you do investing, a lot of times it will be the same, but if you're going to buy a business, right, it just goes to say you're not going to make the same profit every single year, so you're going to make different types of profit. So you have to think about that, and we have to learn how to do those calculations. So here is how we're going to do that. This is called an uneven stream of cash flow. So we're going to introduce a new key on our app right now. So right next to that orange second key, if you look, there's one that says CF. So you hit that CF key, and it brings up, if you look on the left side of your screen now, it brings up the same thing that you see there, the CF0, which equals 0 in this case. So our CF0 is going to be our investment cost or our purchase price going forward. So if we're going to build a hotel from scratch and we know it's going to cost us $12 million, that $12 million would go in there. Or if we're going to buy a restaurant and it's going to cost us $2.5 million, that $2.5 million would go in there. Now in this case, we're not going to put one in there, but it's important to note as we go forward, we'll see a lot of these in Chapter 8, the CFO entries are always negative, just like present value, because essentially this is a present value. It's what we're paying for an asset or going to cost us to build an asset. So it will always be a negative number. But in this case, right, we're going to leave that as 0. So on the top row across your calculator app, you see the scroll up and scroll down arrows that I mentioned earlier. Hit the scroll down one. So now you're at CO1, okay? So what are we saying in that one? So in year 1, this is a very simple calculation, obviously very small numbers. We're going to say we're going to receive $50 in cash, or we're going to make $50 in profit in the year. So type in 50 and hit your enter key, not the equal key. Remember, very important, the enter key, second one from the top left, and it'll say CO1 equals 50. All right, so that means in year 1 we took in $50. So now hit the scroll down. Now you see FO1. What that is frequency. So the calculator says, well, how many years do you think you're going to make $50? In this case, we're only going to do it for 1 year, so it's going to default to 1. So we're going to leave it as 1. We'll do some calculations later in the semester that'll have 9 or 10 or 20 in that number. But for today, we're just going to do all ones. So hit that scroll down again. Now we're at CO2. So now the calculator is saying, all right, in year 2, how much cash do you think you'll make in profit? So we're going to type in $100 and hit enter. All right, and then we're going to scroll down and it says how many years are you going to make the $100 for? Again, we're going to say it's 1, so it'll default to 1. Now, if for some reason your app does not default to 1, just type in 1, enter, and then scroll down. Okay, So now we'll scroll down and we'll get to CO3. And now it wants to know, all right, how much cash do you think you'll earn in year 3? So we type 300, enter, scroll down, and it wants to know our frequency again is 1. Scroll down to CO4. Now, how much cash are we going to earn in year 4? We're going to type in $305. Hit that scroll down. Our frequency is going to be 1 again. Hit scroll down again. Now it says how much cash we're going to earn in year 5. We're going to type 320, enter. Scroll down again. Okay, now it says how much cash are we going to earn in year 6? Well, I only gave you 5 years of cash flow. So that is the point that we're going to go ahead and calculate the net present value. If you look at the right side of your screen now, you'll see that it says compute net present value. All right, and that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to hit those 2 keys in order. Hit that CPT key top left, and then the MPV key, which is a new one for us. It's right in the middle above the present value that we did earlier, and then below the scroll up arrow that that we see for the scroll up and scroll down. And it says I equals. So now it wants to know what kind of interest rate. What is it going to cost you to borrow the money to make this purchase? So we're going to say in this case it's going to be 10. That can be a discount rate, right? How much you're going to discount the cash flow. So you type in 10, enter. Now it says I equals 10. Hit that scroll down again, and it says NPV equals. Hit the CPT key, and that will give you $760.50. All right, or 0.5075 as we have on the screen. So now you have computed a present value, a future value, an annuity due, and now your first net present value. So we've done 5 new calculations today. All right, so now in our next slide, right, we need to understand at the beginning of this lecture, I said we're only going to do annual compounding, and that is all we're going to do. But we need to know one line off of here. Monthly compounding favors the lender, right? So if you look at the monthly compounding number, you see with the same calculation that we just did, you get a present value of 970 instead of 1,000, right? So that just tells us that the monthly compounding favors the lender. That's all we need to know off of this slide. The final slide that we have here is what's called a loan amortization schedule, right? So if you guys decide, all right, I want to go out and buy a car, you're going to go to Google, you're going to type in loan calculator, and it's going to tell you, all right, if I'm going to borrow this amount of money at this interest rate, what are my payments going to be? Okay, that's great, very effective. But what we're going to do, and we're going to come back to this in Chapter 8, we're going to focus on this more in Chapter 8, we have to learn how to do a loan amortization schedule, right? Which is calculate debt service, it tells us our interest amount, our principal paid, and calculate the balance, okay? So for right now, all I want you to know is this. When you borrow money, and in this case you see, we're borrowing a total of $120,634 that we have to pay back. In that case, we're going to pay $40,211.48 each year. In the first year, we're going to pay a principal amount of $30,211.48, and then each year we're going to pay additional principal. And principal is repayment of the money that you borrowed, okay? And that is $100,000 is the amount of money we borrowed in this loan. That's the principal. Then in interest, the interest for the first year is going to be $10,000, and then each year it's going to go down, and we're going to pay less interest each year for a total of $20,634.44. If you add those two together, that gives you your total payment, all right? And then your balance in the final line there, you see your balance amount goes down each year. Exactly how a car loan works, a mortgage works, a student loan works, right? Your payment is a combination of your principal and your interest. The principal amount goes up each year as the loan gets more mature. The interest payment goes down and the balance goes down. And again, as I said, we're going to come back to and focus on this more in Chapter 8.